you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you please state your first and last name and spell them for the benefit of the court reporter?
Officer Erich Weidner, E-R-I-C-H, W-E-I-D-N-E-R.
And Mr. Weidner, how are you employed?
As a City of Kenosha police officer.
How long have you been a police officer?
Going on 22 years now.
And what is your current assignment?
Third shift patrol.
And were you working on the evening of August 25th, 2020?
Yes.
What were your general duties that evening?
I was assigned patrol.
So the City of Kenosha was patrolling on that night?
Yes.
And where were you stationed, or what were your activities, let's say at the beginning of your shift that night?
Just normal patrol, taking calls if a call came out for service, staying in the area of the downtown area, uptown area, and just taking normal calls when someone called 911.
What do you mean by staying in the downtown area or uptown area?
In the outskirts of the heavy congested area that was having the unrest.
So that was part of your duties, was to stay around there, but then if another call came in, domestic violence or burglary, you'd go to that call?
Yes.
At any point were you directed to go to the area of 63rd Street and Sheridan Road?
Yes.
Why were you directed to go there?
I am an evidence technician also, and I was called to go and process a shooting scene.
So what is an evidence technician?
We have special training above and beyond what a normal patrol officer has, and we respond to calls of service for like burglaries, anything that needs fingerprinting, shootings, shots fired, suspicious deaths, stuff like that. Kind of like what everyone knows as a CSI, but we do it kind of as on patrol.
Now, what you said you were there to process the scene, what does that mean?
I was told there was a shooting scene, and they wanted me to process it, photograph it, document it, and collect evidence.
At that point, how many details about the shooting were you given?
None. Just that there's a shooting, and a subject was down.
Can I ask you to bring the microphone closer to you?
Just trying to lean forward.
You can move the microphone, actually. It's
okay.
That might be easier.
All right. Much better.
So what is the first thing you did when you got to this? The scene is a car source location, is that correct?
Correct. It's a car place at 63rd and Sheridan.
What is the first thing you did when you arrived on this scene?
I spoke to multiple supervisors on the scene, asked them what the circumstances were. The person who was shot was not on scene anymore, so I asked questions about that. And then I was walked towards where they thought the scene was.
And then what is the next thing that happened?
Eventually, I started locating some evidence, and I started photographing the scene.
Where did you first locate evidence?
The first evidence I located was spent shell casings or fired shell casings in the street, about the 900 block of 63rd, which is west of Sheridan Road.
Now, there should be a laser pointer up there. If not, I can give you one. I think there's one in front of you. Could you just indicate on the map where you found those casings that you just referred to? So you're pointing to the 900 block of 63rd Street, sort of towards the end of that block in front of the car source?
Yes.
And could you tell what kind of shell casings those were?
Those were 40 caliber.
Are those the type that be normally fired by a handgun?
Typically, yes.
And those were actually in the street?
Correct.
What's the next thing you discovered, or what did you do next?
I placarded them with little number placards for the photographs 1 and 2, and then as I walked east towards the car lot, I found another shell casing that matched the other two on the parkway, which is between the sidewalk and the street. Typical houses would have grass, but it was a business, so it was concrete there.
So that was another 40 caliber shell casing?
Correct.
That was still not on the lot of the car source?
No. Parkway.
What is the next thing that happened?
I walked into the parking lot and I observed what appeared to be blood on the concrete of the parking lot. Closest to would be the southeast corner of the building.
Can I get that? What exhibit number are we on? 47. These are just scene photos. Can I get the first photo should be exhibit 47. Not sure how to turn these on. Is it this one? Oh, we're good. Officer, if I could direct your attention to the screen to exhibit 47, what are we looking at here?
So the building I'm talking about is to the left on this picture, and there's a group of 6 cars. That's where most of my evidence I found reference the shooting happened, and that's where the blood was found also, possible blood.
All right, so is it fair to say that if you were standing where the person that took this picture, which was I presume you, did you take this picture?
Yes.
Are you facing Sheridan?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So is it fair to say that as you were taking this photo, you're looking directly at Sheridan Road and then what is now Freighter behind Sheridan Road?
Correct, I'm facing east,
Okay. That's a more succinct way of putting it.
towards the lake.
And so in the middle of this area of cars is where you found most of the evidence in this scene?
Correct.
Can I have the next exhibit, 48, please? Officer, what is this?
Again, the eastbound picture, just a little bit more close up to the cars.
And exhibit 49? Is this the building?
This is the building I was talking about. It's the very south end of the building where the group of 6 cars were parked.
And the next, I believe, would now be exhibit 50? What is this, sir?
It's a picture of 2 cars. The silver car, I believe there's a number of placards next to it. Those should be, one of them should be where the possible blood is. The other one should be shell casings I found, fired shell casings.
So that moisture on the concrete there, is that related to the crime scene or is that something else?
I couldn't determine what that was.
Now, you talked about placards. There's a pointer there next to, on top of the, no, I'm sorry, an actual wooden pointer.
Mhm.
Could you just go and point out what you mean by placards?
I believe those placards were 4 and 5. Both of those placards were fired shell casings.
And what kind of shell casings were they?
223 Remington Aguilas. Aguila, Aguila, I believe.
You move to exhibit 51, please. At this point, I'd move exhibit 47, 48, 49, and 50 into evidence, and I would ask for 51 on the screen.
Objection. I don't. Proceed.
Is this one of the placards you were discussing?
Correct.
And that's one of the 223 rounds?
Correct.
How many rounds of 223 ammunition did you find?
That night I found 2, which is labeled right here in this picture.
Those are the 2 that you found?
Correct.
Are you aware if any others were found of 223 ammunition?
I was told multiple days later that some other ammunition was found.
And do you know where it was found?
I was told under a car, is all I heard.
Did you look under every car for casings?
Yes, I looked under cars.
With a flashlight or something?
Yeah, with the oblique angle with the flashlight. If you put it on a side angle, the shell casings usually pop out at you because they're on a different plane. I didn't see anything under the cars.
And you're doing this around midnight, after midnight on that evening?
Correct.
Yeah, is that some of the blood next to it?
No, the blood's off to the left from the picture.
If I could have the next exhibit, number 52. And that's just a close-up of the same placard.
It's a medium shot of the same placard, and eventually I'll do a close-up of it before I pick it up.
Next exhibit 53, please. What are we looking at here?
Right, number 5 is at the bottom of the screen. That's one of the fired shell casings that I was just talking about. And then number 6, which is up on towards the top of the screen, towards the other vehicle that's parked, that was the possible blood that I found.
And would that be all that darker colored area there?
Well, it's hard to see from that picture, but it's definitely where the placard is. I'm not sure about the black color on the right. I don't know what that is.
And is it fair to say that when we're looking at this picture, we're sort of looking in the midst of those group of 6 cars, kind of in the middle of them?
Yeah, I guess, yes.
Okay. So what is the next thing that you did?
I most likely took a medium and close-up of the possible blood on the ground, and then I noticed there's a black hooded, like a full face mask that was to the right or to the north of this picture right here.
So this is just placard 5, that's one of the casings?
Correct. So this one you can see placard 7, which is that mask that I've located there. It appeared to be fresh, like someone just dropped it there. It had no weathering on it, nothing like it's been there for months or anything like that. Not sure if it had anything to do with the case that we're on, so I just labeled it.
So as we're looking at this, are you facing south?
Yes, I'm facing south. I'm standing at the corner of the building, the southeast corner of the building.
And you're looking right at where the shooting happened?
I'm looking at where my located evidence was found, yes.
So we're kind of looking into the middle of that group of 6 cars?
Correct.
And did you change any of the lighting or do anything with the lighting from earlier in the evening? The lighting that was on that parking lot?
No.
About how long after the shooting were you processing the scene?
I cannot answer. I don't remember. We would have timestamps of that of our dispatch, but I don't remember, to be honest with you.
But it wasn't like 4 in the morning at this point?
No.
So it would have been relatively close to when the incident occurred?
If I had to guesstimate, I'd say an hour.
Okay. I believe this is exhibit 54.
Is there objection?
No.
Okay. That's it then, right?
54?
Yes.
Okay.
So 51, 52, 53, and 54, I'd like to move into evidence. What is then the next thing that you discovered as you processed the scene?
I believe I took a crime scene video of it, and then I collected all the evidence, and then I proceeded back to the police department for the evidence.
Did you find another casing on Sheridan Road?
I believe it was on 63rd Street, west of all the other casings. So the .40 caliber casings I initially talked about on 63rd Street, those were more towards a house that was labeled 915. I found another one 2 houses away, which is 925 63rd Street, and that turned out to be a 9mm casing, fired casing.
Now, in terms of your activity that evening, is that the extent of your activity at this crime scene?
Before I left, there was a possible shots fired going on in a park west of us, 1 block west of us, and I went over there to attempt to locate evidence also.
Best of your knowledge, that had no relation to this crime scene?
I believe it had nothing to do with this crime scene. There's other shootings going on.
Is everything been moved in?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
tell me, when you arrived on the scene, did you locate a hospital bag with any items in it?
What kind of bag are you talking about here?
I'm sorry?
What kind of bag? Like
It's
a
only been
grocery bag
described-
or?
It's only been described as like a clear hospital type bag.
I did not locate that bag, no.
How about a fire extinguisher?
Not that I can recall.
So in a case like this where it's a homicide, and you're there relatively quickly after the call comes in, I'm assuming, right? Is that
I'm
fair?
not sure how long it took me. I was not one of the first responders. It took me a while to get there from the first responding people.
And I think you had said you do kind of like CSI type of work. That's how you described it.
For layman's terms, yes.
Is the area like taped off that night? Do you remember?
It was.
And so you're looking, and I believe you. I'm not questioning you. You're looking under cars for spent casings, and you understand that at a time later, a couple days later, there were more casings that had been located. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you have anything to do with the collection of those? Any involvement in the casings that were found after?
No, I did not.
I don't have anything else. Thank you. Thank you.
Any redirect?
If you remember, what parameters or what were the perimeter of the crime scene that you were examining?
With the crime scene tape, you mean?
Yeah.
When I arrived on scene, the crime scene tape was put up by other officers who responded prior to me. It was on the very south side of 63rd Street, extended from the alley, which is west of the building in question, all the way to Sheridan Road. It crossed Sheridan Road onto the Kenosha Hospital property, went down the sidewalk northbound towards the other shooting, I guess.
So it was a very large scene.
Yeah, it was taped off. Typically we'll do that. We'll have the crime scene of the main area of the crime scene, and because of large crowds or unruly crowds, we'll expand it farther than normal.
And is it fair to say that there had been if you know that there had been a crowd around this crime scene earlier in the evening?
Once the tape was up?
No, before the tape was up.
Yes, there's large crowds.
And unless you're told specifically it relates to the crime, is a empty fire extinguisher or a hospital bag something you would typically collect?
Unless I determine it's part of the crime for the investigation, then I would collect it. I had no knowledge of a hospital bag or a fire extinguisher being used in this incident.
Nothing further.
Any question?
If it was there, would you have put that little card on it, the hospital bag?
I would have to determine if it had something to do with this. If it's just blown there from the wind or something like that, then no. If it had no relation to what was actually happening, unless someone would have told me there's a bag involved in this, then I'd be looking for a bag, obviously. We're right across the street from a hospital. It could have been a wind. I don't know. I don't remember seeing a bag.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing on that.
Give me a step down, sir.
Thank you.
What do we put there?